Welcome to Grid Tactical Tuesday in our new time slot. We are at 11 a.m. Eastern, right? So we can include all of our West Coast people. I am so excited for some of the guests that we're going to be able to have now. And I can think of no better person to kick this off with than my friend Riley Vanderkaay. Um, Riley is the founder of Speculo. And Riley and I, just to like how simple this is, Riley and I connected because I heard something about his business and I was like, why don't we just jump on a call and get to know each other? And then we did, and then, you see each other at conferences, met up, have a great breakfast, just came to our GridCon, was one of our sponsors. We're using some of his services, but really wanted to have, I think, Riley, what I loved you shared at GridCon is like a unique perspective on how to actually use AI. We're going to
Mm.
talk this in a very tactical and practical way. From his position of he'll explain exactly what he's doing at Specula to give some context of the lens that he has on the market. But Riley, really excited to have you here today, my friend.
Yeah, dude, I'm pumped. This is gonna be exciting. I'm excited for the conversation. Thank you guys for
Ooh,
having me.
good, man. Um, had a really good conversation about AI with another founder yesterday, actually. I'm going to connect you guys. We were talking a little bit about, he's talking about building community. And I was like, man, if I was going to build community around this for my users, I would really be having a conversation like the thought leader conversations. Drop these drop these in the chat. Like, how do we use AI to keep the human at the center of the transaction? Like, we're definitely at a point where we can steer some of these things. How do you feel right now about the landscape? Let's just get big picture for a second with AI. I feel like, I don't know if anyone else feels like this. I'll pay attention, and one week I think I know what's going on, and then I look away from the ball and I come back and like everything has changed, and this new thing is the newest thing and the greatest thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, being in the space, AI at this point, like this is gonna sound funny because I'm a founder in the AI space, but like I honestly feel annoying. Like it feels like a bandwagon to me, right at this point. When I hop on and I go, yeah, I'm a founder in AI, I'm gonna talk to you guys about AI. If I were you, I'd be like, yeah, man, you and every other person on social media ever, right? It's kind of annoying. It's getting a little bit over communicated. And I think it's because it all moved so quickly and there were so many products that were spun up and so many massive implications and use cases created and verified
Mhm.
so quickly. Like normally
Mhm.
you guys come up with a product, right? Like products take years and millions of dollars to develop, and then they take
Yes.
another couple years to verify and validate in their use cases and then produce case studies of success to show that other people should use it the way that the original users did, right? With AI, that takes a couple months. We just shipped a couple features inside of our product that are bigger than the entire product. Like think about that. The amount of code that we just shipped for a couple features
Mhm.
was bigger than the entire product by itself, right? And we did it in like 4 months. It's insane,
I
right? It's
just saw it
unbelievable.
with GridCon, Riley. Rob and Jess sat down, rewrote all of the content, the whole 7 levels, stood up a coaching certification, redid the entire back end of the website with Lovable. Now it worked because Jess had built every single thing and knew the HTML markup tables and the brand design and the identity and the language and everything. But man,
Yeah,
like what you can produce when you're putting high level content in derivatively is incredibly exciting. I
yeah,
see it being pitched to people like as a way to avoid the work.
yeah. That's what I would say. Like again, I think it's turning into a bandwagon conversation, which is a good thing if you guys zoom out and think about it. Like the thing that's important is personalizing AI to you and really understanding where you live inside of your business and where you live inside of the funnel. This is what I was talking about at GridCon. Like
Yes.
if you guys you're going to end up in paralysis, what do they call it? Paralysis by analysis, right? Like if every single person here tries to sit down and understand every single AI product on the marketplace, you're going to lose your mind, literally. Like you're not going to be able to do it, right? And there's no purpose in doing it. I would honestly start the other direction and ask yourself, what are the things that you know are most valuable that you offer to your client or inside of your business? If you're a marketing director, it might not be for the client, but it might be for your CEO, right? What are the things that you're doing on a regular basis as a marketing director that are really valuable? What are the things that you're not doing? And what are the things you're doing that you wish you didn't have to do that aren't super valuable but still need to get done? Really look at your role and where you live in the funnel and then start ideating around how to use AI in that use case. That's the biggest key, I would say, is like you got to start the other direction. Do not waste your time trying to understand everyone's AI product. Understand how you want to use it first and where it's going to actually move the needle for you. Then start your discovery process with AI because everybody will tell you their product can do it because that's what agentic and that's what AI is capable of nowadays. It can kind of do everything, right? But it's what do they call it? Master of all is a master of none, or whatever. A jack of all trades is a master of none, whatever the hell that statement is. But the point is like that's what generalized AI is right now. It's like you can kind of do a lot of stuff, but not really anything super to like a super well niched degree. And so if you go with the AI first, it's just gonna waste your time, guys. Like don't do it. Focus on you first. And I'll talk into this a little bit deeper on some of the
Sure.
slides I brought for you, but really hone in on your role, right? Not the AI first.
Yeah, Ryan, and I would say yes. So Ryan, that phrase was pretty interesting. Is a jack of all trades, but a master of none is oftentimes better than a master of one.
Mhm.
So yeah, like if I am brand new, it can compress the use case where I can get some competence across a wide level of fields that you need as a realtor. However, what we know, this is the zone conversation is to really break through, you have to niche down, you have to focus, you have to master some level of high level skill development on the predictable income zoning your market side. Whether that is expireds or whether it's FISBOs or how do I get enough reps and enough objection handling and enough to totally understand the psychology of my avatar. So this is when we talk about the 7 levels. Level 1 is energy, identity, mindset, and that is an easy one. Oh, I've got that. Probably not. I've got to go back to that at every level, and we've got some really powerful things where that's, hey, if I sat down, have I clarified my values on paper? Do I have my avatar clearly defined? Lauren's got a great 4C class. If you're not clear at all about this, about how to practically do this, can walk you through it. Drop the link, for the next one, Lauren, in the chat. Um, but that is the work. Is as we go through this, we're going to be called more and more to be, what do I actually do? What service do I actually provide? And I
Mhm.
think to your point, Riley, like eventually the tide is going to come out. We're going to find out who's wearing pants. This is going to expose a lot of people that don't really have a unique value proposition.
100%. Yeah, it's just where do you live
Yeah.
in the funnel? Like, where are you valuable, right? Like,
Yes,
again,
man.
that's what I talked about at GridCon is you've got to really understand where you live in the funnel. Go ahead,
When you
Justin.
say live in the funnel, let's talk. So we're talking about living in the funnel. We're talking like level 2, level 3. Like my funnel is my lead generation funnel. Like the network, my audience, and then who am I talking to? Then who am I having two-way conversations with? Who's signing agreements with me? Who's going under contract? Who's closing? That is the funnel. Where do I live in that funnel? And we all have a funnel. Even if you're the PTA president, that is then the school is your funnel. Like you may just not be doing this consciously. So yeah, talk to us a little bit about the funnel and we can jump into how
Yeah,
do you
yeah. Yeah, so who can I pick on? Why don't I, Rob, I'm going to pick on you because you're in the real estate world, right? So Rob, let's put on your real estate agent hat for a second, Rob. Where's your value when you think about the funnel inside of your role as a real estate agent? Where do you believe your value is?
My value is in helping clients build wealth through real estate.
There you go. Right. Great. That's a great little one-liner. So is your value, doing power hour in the morning?
No,
Right. Okay. Is your value, setting, taking clients on showings?
no,
Okay. Is your value, even at this point, reviewing contracts?
no.
Right. Your value is consulting people through that transaction to help them build wealth. Right.
Correct.
That's where your value is. So the exercise there is very quick and easy. And again, I'd urge everybody else to do it. Jess, I know we met at GridCon. I know you're kind of on a different side of the transaction from the more the investment side. I know there's probably other people in the room that run different types of business models. But Rob's answer is spot on, right? I should have picked on somebody else because I would have been able to help him. But instead, Rob already has all the answers. He knows everything. Um,
ask Lauren?
Yeah, Lauren, let's go with you, Lauren.
Come
Okay,
play with
hello.
us.
Yeah, Lauren, same question, right? Same question, Lauren. Where do you believe in your role you are most valuable and nobody else could take your place?
In the education aspect, helping people understand why invest in real estate, why own an asset.
Why own an asset? Now, are you most valuable in the delivery method of that communication? Is it one-on-one? Is it over email marketing campaigns that you're building? Is it through social media? Like, where are you most valuable in that message?
Social media.
Social media, building content on your own, right? Video content,
Mhm.
stuff like that, right? Okay. Do you think it's a smart idea to clone yourself and use AI to build more and more content and put out more videos of your face when it's not actually you speaking that content?
I don't think so
Yeah,
personally.
probably not. And Justin's explanation, right? The tide's going to go out and we're going to figure out who's wearing pants or not. And at the end of the day, people can still see if it's AI content or not, right? So it's those are the types of exercises I like to take a lot of our clients through and a lot of different business owners that I coach and talk to every day is like, where are you indispensable? You're indispensable by being an authentic human on a camera, on social media, in person, on a Zoom call like this, having a conversation and educating. That's where you are best. So now that we know that, remove all AI conversation about that role. Rob, as the agent, remove all AI from that conversation. A robot's not going to go to a house and coach you through building wealth through real estate. And if you did, you wouldn't trust it, right? That doesn't feel like there's a relationship there. Same thing with you coaching marketing. Same thing with me sitting here on the Zoom call talking to you guys about how to use AI. If this was an AI talking to you, you wouldn't trust it. You'd be like, this thing's trying to get me to spend money, right? So identify that value first and then remove the idea of AI in that whatsoever. Right. So now there's no world in which you're ever going to use AI inside of your genius that you just described, Lauren. Now, the next level of the exercise is look in the other direction. Where's the things you're doing right now? What did you do so far today at 11:13 a.m. Eastern that you're like, oh my God, that is so, I have to do it, but it's so annoying. It's so stupid, other than texting Justin back or something. And obviously, we all know that's useless. But what else did you do today that in your mind you're like, God, I wish I didn't have to do that?
Read emails, update clients about where we are in the transaction, monotonous admin tasks,
There you go, right? The stuff that doesn't lend to what?
educating.
Yeah, like where you're the information bottleneck, and I'm not adding any value. I'm just passing.
No, you are.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the
yeah.
funnel, right? It's the funnel. Your clients go through a Lauren Hammond funnel every single day. It's a funnel in your email inbox. It's a funnel in your text message chain. It's a funnel in your one-to-one interactions like this. I go through a funnel every day. I literally structure my day like a funnel. I wake up in the morning and I look at my activities. I look at what I have to do, and I identify where is Riley most valuable in the funnel as the human being today, right? And that to me at 11 o'clock, it was this. So I have AI. I mean, the amount of AI bots I've got running on my computer right now is outrageous. The fan on my computer is about to explode. I'm telling you guys, I got like three different models running in the background, but it's because I want to be here present and be authentic with you guys, right? This is where I'm most valuable here in this conversation. And in most cases, I'm the only thing I'm really good at is talking to people. That's about it, right? And so that's where we start. That we go the other direction, email inbox, communicating with clients, all of that. I mean, I know that that's possible for AI because I built an AI agent that does it for all of our clients, right? That's the exercise I think everybody here on the call should go through. It's just a very easy little T chart. What is your value and where does it live in the funnel? But what's all the other shit that you shouldn't be spending your time doing, right? That's the easy exercise to go through and identify what AI tools are valuable for you. Because the AI tool that's not going to be valuable for Lauren is anything related to how to create content on social media. Don't waste your time and energy there, because I promise you there's hundreds of tools out there and gurus that will say it's going to increase your impression share and all of that. And it's not, right? Because it's not your authentic self. Does that make
Love
sense?
it.
I know I just preached really hard at you guys, but I'm very passionate about this. So I want to make sure. Does anybody have questions on that? Do we want to go through that same exercise for somebody else? Hit me with any thoughts or ideas on that.
Um, Cherie, let's do it with you. We're gonna need a different use case, and then we'll jump in. Then so everyone knows, we're gonna jump into some slides and go through some tactics, some very
Yeah.
practical stuff, and we'll leave some room at the end for some questions. Because I want us to we have access to somebody who's a master at this. But yeah, Cherie, you
Yeah,
raised your hand. You said you
actually,
want to be helped.
well, I did want to be helped, but actually, as Riley was talking and Lauren was answering, I'm like, those are my answers,
Good.
except on the
Okay,
lending side, except on the
perfect.
money side.
Okay.
So,
No, I love it. So then there we go. So let's jump into the present. Thank you, Sheree. So I love that.
uh,
Like it is very similar. And while Riley, you pull up these your slides if you want to run those. Julian has them if you need us to pull them up. Um,
No, it's all good. I got them.
so one of the things you can do, we used to call it the paper plate exercise when we were at KW, is you write down on the paper plate, what are all the things I hate to do? And then what are all the things that if someone else did, no one would know that I wasn't doing them. I may not mind doing that, but no one would know
Yeah.
that I wasn't the one sending over the inspection reminder or whatever those things are. So
Yep.
then you have like what's left is the stuff that's on your plate, literally. Many different ways to do this stuff, but these are not new concepts, right? We're just applying new technology to the fundamentals of buying and selling real estate.
Yeah, we're applying more intelligent technology. So,
Exactly.
and here's the other piece is like, as I'm looking through the people in the room, I like Eric Barron, right? Eric, your AI, right? Eric is going to be Eric's AI. It's going to learn about you. It's going to learn the way you speak. It's going to learn the way that you do the things inside of the parts of the funnel where you're not your most valuable self that you can offboard to AI. But it used to be you had to hire a human being, right, as an assistant to be able to really deliver the same type of value you want to deliver if you don't want to have like an automated inbox reminder, right? Now you can pay for like $30 a month on Claude and get the exact same damn thing. And it sounds even more like you, more realistic like you. It's more engaging like you, and you can control what that funnel experience looks like. So that's the other piece of it is that this is the first time probably in history where I would argue that you can trust this type of niche down focus approach more than you ever could before because it used to not be scalable. Like I remember when I first started my companies before AI, when I started my companies when I was in college, it was human beings. There was no such thing as AI. If I was starting companies right now, if I was in college with AI right now, oh my God, I'd have like 17 different companies, right?
Sure.
Because then you could just build agents and it's easy, right? But now that I would just add that before I jump into these slides is like really hone into the fact that training your agent to be like you, communicate like you, act like you, talk like you, that is probably the next most important approach in the exercise after you identify the first layer.
And
My
it
favorite
sounds
thing
like,
you said,
oh,
Richard,
sorry,
is you
Justin.
talked about
No,
expectations. Go ahead, Eric.
yeah, I was just going to say, and I think that's what was intriguing to me about joining this today was that I haven't even taken that step in terms of building out an AI agent. And, hearing you talk about what you've built and how it's basically freed up your time to do the things that are of higher value, that is it kind of hit the nail on the head for me. I'm like, and that's why I wanted to engage with this today was to learn how can I create AI agents to do those tasks that are important to the business but aren't ultimately my most valuable use of time. And it seems
Yeah.
like that's what you're going to dive into, but I'm hooked.
Yeah, I'm going to dive into how our product does it, right? Like I'm going to dive into like a real like tangible asset that is this thing that we're talking about and give you some high level, philosophy around it. But then I want to leave. I'm more of a Q&A style person, honestly, guys. So like as we're going through this, interrupt me with questions and please don't worry about making it about, the topics I'm discussing necessarily. This is a very kind of open-ended slide.
Eric hit what I wanted to talk about. The way I want you to think about this is reasoning from first principles. We're going to go deep on one thing so you can apply this by analogy to what you're doing here. And the most important thing, even what Eric said, is I don't know that I have to learn how to build an AI agent for anything. What I have to get radical clarity on is what do I do and what are the things in the business I couldn't do? And I think that would be like the most powerful. If I have that, I could come to someone else and say, hey, build me this tool. If I
Yeah.
don't have that, it's like having the marketing consultation. We've all done this with someone that doesn't actually have a brand and
Yeah.
they don't have a vision and they can't articulate their values or what their value proposition is. So just when you said was the best thing to scale all this up is you said, how long does it take to onboard on a new employee? People put an AI agent into and they say it doesn't work after a week or two. When it takes you 90 days to train like a regular employee, you've got to think about that sort of that investment in the same sort of way.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
that made so
100%.
much
Yeah.
sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, too many people that actually, before I dive into this, because actually here, let me go to the slide where this is relevant. Let me
Yeah.
it's the next one. Yeah. I'll dive into this and I want to touch on something there.
Good.
It'll be a natural flow here. So what we're going to talk about is the real estate transaction as a whole, right? I mean, I know that's really what this community is all about. There's a lot of people that do different roles inside of the real estate transaction. But we're going to talk about that, right? So when you look at the real estate transaction, it's not easy necessarily. I mean, sometimes it's simple, but simple doesn't always mean easy. It's not like buying a purse or a pair of shoes or I mean, I got a supplement on Facebook the other day that I thought looked good, and they stole my money. I had a few too many glass of wine, and I ended up buying it. Right. So it's like these small things like that are easy transactions. You build a funnel, you build the right content. That's easy. Real estate is not that. Right. There's a lot of emotions involved in it. And it's a very high intent transaction. You're not going to find me somebody with low intent that's going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on an asset like a home, right? That's just not going to happen, right? And so a lot of that's involved this is trust, timing, and voice, right? To Justin's point on brand, you got to build trust through brand. You got to build trust through consistency. Timing, none of it matters if you're sending the wrong message to the right person at the wrong time, right? It just doesn't make any difference. And again, back to the people who are talking a lot about marketing, Lauren, we were talking about marketing earlier, right? Like you can have the best message, the best content, you could have the most polished piece of content, but if you don't target it to the right person at the right time, it literally means nothing to them. They will scroll by it within a millisecond, right? And then voice, right? What voice is what makes you choosable. Voice is what people align with. Voice is what people engage with at a super high level. Literally the words you use, the way you portray it, right? So I hope that the trend you're noticing on this slide is the world of AI is making us demand and require more human connection and more human authenticity than ever before. It is truly a trackable, quantifiable metric right now. That is real, right? So much human connection is being demanded right now because AI is making it so hard for us to know what's real and what's not, right? So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how that looks in the real world application for the human being, the consumer, not us here, right? The consumer who's engaging with the world around them, right? So today's buyers and sellers, again, honing in on real estate, they didn't get their expectations from you. And, let's be clear, right? Don't take this the wrong way, but you will never change someone's expectations again. Consumers' expectations are being morphed and changed and built by some of the biggest companies in the world with the most influential algorithms and products and experiences, right? It's going to be very hard for you to influence a customer's expectation. So again, back to that, where do you live in the funnel? That's where you are able to manage expectation with a client, right? Where do you live in the funnel? Where are you indispensable? At that point is when you get to set the expectations, right? But if we look at what the average consumer experiences every day right now, you've got tools like Zillow that train them to want certainty. Zillow has everything that they could ever possibly want when they're looking for homes, loans, what the value of their home is, everything. And whether we all like it or not, Zillow has 150 million unique users every month. There's like 4 homes sold in the United States a year, guys. They got 150 million people a month that are unique visitors going to their platform. That's insane, right? You're not going to change that. That's where the expectation's being built. Amazon, right? Amazon trained them to be instant. One of my favorite things I've learned from Jeff Bezos by watching his content, reading his books, all that good stuff. He said this one time and it stuck with me forever. The best way to build great lasting businesses is to ask a simple question. What is not going to change about my client in the next 10 years? Like, think about that, right? With all of us in the real estate space, what's not going to change? What Rob said is not going to change. People are going to want to build wealth through real estate. Why the hell else would you buy a multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of an asset? You're not just going to do that for fun. You're going to do that to build wealth, right? Lauren, people need to be educated on the home transaction. They need to understand it. Every consumer is not going to figure out how to negotiate their own contracts. That's probably not going to change in the next decade, right? So ask yourself that question. That's a huge question. But with Amazon, they've trained every consumer to expect instant. That has changed, right? Like they want their home buying experience to be like that, right? A great story I always tell people about this was my home buying experience. My first home that I bought, my wife and I had just gotten married. And I was telling her, man, we got to go buy a house. I'm in this industry. I thought I knew everything about the market and all this good stuff. And she was totally against it. She was like, I'm not even going to look. We're not even going to go look at houses. Right. Finally convinced her to meet with one of my buddies who was an agent. We sat down at the table. We started having, this was months of me convincing her. Right. A week later, we went and toured a house and wrote an offer after just sitting down with an agent. Right. And it was because her brain expects instant. The moment that she engaged with the agent, started being educated a little bit, and then got excited and toured a house, instantly she's like, I want that now, right? And so that's where that Amazon experience comes in with the consumer. You've got something like TikTok now, the interest-based algorithm. TikTok has trained us all to expect everything to be personal and relevant, right? Now you don't have to go scroll through Facebook and like things or look up hashtags to find the content you want to see. It just shows up for you. How many times have all of us here experienced us just having a conversation with our spouse or a friend, and then you get on TikTok or Instagram or something, and it's just there? Like the thing is there, and you're like, how the hell did that happen? It's listening to me. It is, right? It's an interest-based algorithm. It's paying attention to your activities, what you're looking at, what you're doing, right? And even though all of us are like, oh, that's so creepy. How many times have you guys opened TikTok today so far? Right. There's a lot of culprits on the call. I see smiles, right? Or Instagram or whatever else your vice is, right? And then finally, we've got ChatGPT. OpenAI was kind of the first. Now you've got all these different AI tools. They created relevance, right? If you look at the timeline throughout history, which I think is my next slide here. Yeah. If you look at the timeline throughout history, especially with where AI has created the most implication, it used to be information scarcity, right? Probably the only person on this call that remembers this is Rob because he's such an old man. But Rob, back in the day, dude, there wasn't an MLS, there wasn't a Zillow, there wasn't all these portals where people could go look at houses. If they wanted to go see a house or they wanted to go see an open house this weekend, they went with the agent, right? Like they knew you could
MLS was
take people.
literally in printouts,
Yeah.
and you had to drive to the office of the other agent to get the keys. I have a mentor that's been doing this for 45 years, and she has seen the whole journey. So yeah, there was information scarcity. You couldn't even find these houses without an agent to
Yeah.
begin with.
And you didn't even want to talk about selling your house until you talked to the professional because it was such a coveted, amazing asset and so much
Sure.
wealth. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, like information scarcity, the agent was everything, right? So where did you guys live in the funnel? Right at the top, right? You were right at the beginning of the funnel. So your
Yes.
value started there and you carried it throughout. You set expectations and you started at the top of the funnel.
And we think about information, this is a pre-internet time. So if someone wanted to go educate themselves, they got to go down to the local library and buy a book, rent a book or something. It just didn't. You're really at the top of funnel for everything at that point, Riley. Very
Yep,
much. Yep.
100%, 100%. Yeah, everything, right? But again, we're just talking specifically around the real estate transaction, right? It's
Yeah.
even that, right? Then you get into kind of this search and the noise era, right? Where now you start to get consumers being, kind of pelted with a lot of different information. You've got Zillow started coming up, these different portals. You've got the MLSs now that you can set them up on a portal. You got all this you got a lot of good stuff going on now, a lot of noise for the consumer who's gathering knowledge. And what did that create, right? That created that paralysis by analysis where they still reached out to the agent to be like, can you make sense of all this for me? I mean, this is just a lot. I'm just seeing a lot of houses and getting some intent and some excitement about real estate, but I don't really know what I could get pre-approved for. I don't know what's realistic. I don't, there's a lot of scarcity there still, right? And so you're still kind of at the top of the funnel, but now you're getting a lead who maybe has an idea about what kind of home that they want, right? Then you get into the algorithm push where now we're creating personalized knowledge for people and resources, right? So the algorithm push now is, well, we're feeding people the type of houses we think they're going to like based off the other knowledge that we have about them and their other interests. And then the algorithm and the platforms push them deeper in the funnel. So where does that push you? Farther down, right? You're going farther away from the consumer at the top of the funnel. They're getting their knowledge from public sources that are trying to garner their attention and have their own desires, right? Their own interests that aren't yours, right? And so again, you've got to figure out, well, where do I live in the funnel, right? Most successful agents in the social media era were the ones that realized where they lived in the funnel and what did they do? They did what Lauren did. They got on social, they educated people, they provided resources, and their businesses exploded, right? And then
Yes.
now we're in the AI guidance era, right? Now you guys are at the farthest point down the funnel that you could possibly ever be, right? We've now got to a point where more consumers are asking questions of AI or validating what's being told to them by the professionals with AI, right? I get emails from my clients that they forget to take out the little bottom thing where it says courtesy of ChatGPT and its responses to comments or answers to questions that I give them, right? They're even validating me against AI around the tools that I build, right? And that's okay. I'm
Yep.
not offended by it, right? But it's like, think about that. Everything. I don't know about you. If I go to the doctor and I get my blood results, I don't give a shit what my doctor has to say. I throw it into Claude and I say, hey, you got all my health records. Tell me what I need to know about this. Right? I trust that more. Why is that? Because it's
It's
personalized.
personal.
It's
Yes,
personalized.
personal. But it
Exactly.
tracks with, like, what do we know? There's a direct correlation between the bedside manner and the time spent by the doctor and medical malpractice suits. If they take
Yeah.
and they ask about your kids, you don't assume malice. If they blow in and they blow out, and that guy didn't care about me. This happened on purpose. This accident was deliberate. It's again, this stuff shows up again and again if you're watching service really closely. So what's
Yep.
next? So
Can
we're
I
at
ask
the bottom of the funnel. Go ahead, Sheree.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because it seems to me also that AI doesn't sugarcoat stuff. Even
Yeah.
though it's like sometimes overly friendly, it doesn't really like sugarcoat the truth, whereas sometimes we as humans do. I don't know what your thoughts are about that.
I think we as humans have the one thing that I don't think any of us ever want AI to get, which is a conscious and empathy, right? So we will maneuver a scenario based off of communication that's not verbal throughout the dialogue, right? So like to think about it as simple as like, I remember a good example of this. I was at GridCon, right? And when I was up on the stage and I was speaking, I was watching the front row. And as I was explaining something, I saw people's eyebrows go up and their heads started to nod. And I'm like, okay, I'm making a point to these people. I'm going to go deeper on that. Hey, I can't do that. They're going to finish the statement and deliver the statement the way that they plan to prior to any watching any nonverbal communication cues, right? So to your point, AI is not going to sugarcoat it for two reasons. One, it cannot read the dialogue, right? It's impossible. But then number two, I think it's because the AI has no bias. Its job is to answer the question, deliver the result, right? It's not there to try and maneuver you in a specific direction. You're guiding the AI is not guiding you. Does that make sense? Right. That's a good point, though. It does make a lot of sense. And the goal, I think all of us would agree. We don't necessarily want AI to start having a conscience. Um, so does this all make sense? Probably the biggest thesis of every conversation I've been giving over the last couple of months is really making sure you guys understand that the biggest implication of AI for you as a professional is it changes where your value lives in the funnel. Does it make sense why that is true?
Yes.
Right? It makes your value a lot greater and it creates higher demand for your value. But if you misalign that value, it's a bigger miss,
Sure.
right? So the other layer of this, I think that's super important is whether, again, it's a real estate transaction or it's another industry, AI is also giving us the opportunity to move away from speed to lead and towards speed to intent, right? So whether it's you're in the lender space or you're in the real estate space or you're in, a community builder space, whatever it might be, when somebody finds you, right, in the past, they would find you because of some very high level trigger of interest, right? It would be like, oh, I saw this image I thought was cool, or I saw this house I thought was pretty, or, I might want to buy a house. There's a calculator for me to figure out what I could get pre-approved for. I'll fill it out, right? It's that simple, right? But what we weren't able to do as human beings, because it was damn near impossible, is analyze every single interest queue, every single engagement queue, and then deliver the perfect message to that person. That's why Facebook has billions of dollars worth of algorithms with ad flywheels and Google and all these other platforms. They can do it, but we as human beings could almost never do that, right?
And interesting, Riley, is it's been going in this direction. I spent years as an admin and I was an ISA for a team with a 10,000 person database. And I could look on the back end of the IDX and see who would engage with the website recently. And but yeah, not at scale. Not at
Yeah.
scale. It's a human filtering this. It's not intelligent. Nuance. This is very different to be able to find the signal in the noise.
Yep, exactly. And it's very, very, it was almost impossible for the human to do. I think an ISA
Yeah.
role is a perfect example of this. Like, I think that as team leaders, and for those of you on the call, don't get upset at me when I say this, I think that the expectation that team leaders hold their agents and ISAs to is outrageous, right? Like the expectation of saying, hey, Justin, you're an ISA managing 10,000 contacts. You should be hitting every single person at the right time with the right message in the right way and convert 7% every year. I mean, that's hard to do. You know what I mean? With 10,000, let
Yep.
alone when it grows to 15 and 20 and 25 and 30. It's unrealistic.
And the lesson that I learned from managing a database that big was putting it in a triple line dialer. Volume crushed my personal ability to determine intent because I
Exactly.
wouldn't reach the right person at the right time. I'd be so prepared to talk to Riley about this one lead. And then when it was no get in touch with them and then pivot on the call. Pretty interesting. I took this away. This is like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Uh, so I love this. So we get speed to intent. So we
Yeah.
can
Speed to
the right
intent,
way.
right?
Makes sense.
So we're shifting the communication that we're creating and the way that we're engaging with consumers to the most possible personalized engagement that it can be, right? So like with our system, and again, there's other systems like this that can do it for you guys. This is not a sales pitch for Speculo, but when we're thinking about what our system does for the real estate team and its niche specifically, when somebody's looking at a house, right? And this is a bigger conversation. I won't derail because I get very passionate about this when you guys think about like a PPC lead, a Google PPC lead, right? The consumer journey there is they're looking at houses on your website and then you hit them with a pop-up squeeze page that says to continue to photos, fill out your information, right? And then what do? They fill out their information. We call them and say, hey, I saw you were interested in 124 Banana Street. Do you want to go see it? Who the hell said they were interested in 124 Banana Street? We just hit them with a squeeze page and said, hey, if you want to look at more photos, fill out your information. We didn't even tell them we were going to call them, right? Like we didn't tell them that. Like Cherie, when you're thinking about the mortgage side, right? When somebody fills out your pre-approval calculator, at the end, does it say, hey, a loan officer is going to reach out or Cherie is going to reach out and give you your number, right? Or give you your information. Well, when you do, that's probably why the person's like, well, why the hell are you calling me? Right? Or like, I didn't ask for this, right? So the speed to lead, the old days of speed to lead was how do I get contact information as fast as possible and just go call this person and see if I can bug them and get them to talk to me. Speed to intent is what is this person doing? What is everything this person's doing? And what is the most valuable message to share with them? right? The human brain is not capable of doing that across 10,000 people in a database like Justin was trying to do with a triple dialer. Remy can do that instantly, and AI can do that like it's nothing, right? And so I think that's part of this shift with creating the funnel, right? Personalized engagement from the beginning. What is your value proposition? What are you getting them to ask for? What are you going to give them in return?
I'm curious to see the next slide because I think I know I have a question, but I think you're going to hit it organically.
What's your question?
No, just what I would say is people want information, but they don't want to be sold. We walk into the store and we say, "No, thanks, I'm good." But we actually want the salesperson to come later that's actually qualified,
Mhm.
give us the information, and help us make the decision. But I don't want to be sold about stuff I'm not interested in and engage with that sales process. People
Yep,
want high quality real estate information. They do not want to talk to real estate agents. They want to feel pushed. And that's why
exactly.
social media works so well because it's education, education, education. Then you engage. And I think that you've given some access to information. I think that's what we're going to talk about is the biggest thing of like, how do you give them instantaneous access to information without selling them?
Exactly. Or just when you do engage them, you're not selling them, you're basing everything you're saying or communicating with them based off intent.
Okay.
Right? That's the same difference. I always tell people this story. When I was in high school, I worked at a clothing store, and the guy that was our manager taught me that you never greet somebody when they walk in the front door. You wait for them to go pick up the first item. Right? Like if you guys ever walked into a department store and somebody comes up to you and goes, "How can I help you?" And you're like, "I'm good. I don't need anything from you. I just want to shop." Right? But then the moment that you find the pair of shoes you went there for, the shirt that you need in a certain size, your head's on a swivel demanding that person's right there to take you to get the shoes that you want or whatever it might be. Right? So that was like, again, back to what Justin said. That's a perfect way to describe it. This slide is a data point that I think is really interesting. Remy, our AI agent, has probably 300 to 400,000 conversations a month with consumers in the United States and Canada, right? And those conversations could be 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 10 seconds, could be anything, right? But we're talking about 300 to 400,000. And three times more than any other dialogue Remy has. Three times more of those dialogues are based off of the speed to intent reaction and tags and automations, right? So we have three times more 2 minute conversations from we call it the convert flow, responding to intent triggers than any other type of conversation we have. It's a scheduled outbound call or a message that we're sending to people, a text, an email, whatever it might be. Three times more 2 minute conversations come from speed to intent, right? So what does that tell us?
That's the highest ROI activity is
Yeah.
Highest ROI activity, number one, but also number two, it's the fastest and best way you guys are actually going to connect with people and bring value,
yep.
right? Back to the point. Find out where you fit in the funnel and then create a funnel that drive those people to your value, right? Remy's value in the funnel is being able to respond to the intent trigger. Somebody requests a showing at a property, I'm going to get you on the phone with an agent as fast as possible, right? Somebody surfs our website for 15 minutes, well, I'm going to call and see what the hell they're looking at because if they're on there for 15 minutes, they must not be finding it, right? So again, that speed to intent and then driving it deeper in the funnel for you. That's huge. Second thing here, AI and running a business with AI is becoming more and more and more valuable based off of timelines and database hygiene. And real estate database is a gold mine. Right? Justin just said it with 10,000 contacts. If that database is full of shitty, misorganized data, AI is going to make it worse. That's a really important key, right? AI will make it worse. The one downside with AI, back to the point about like training the models and the whole, like Justin, like what you said, that's what I wanted to get to was this slide. The comment you made about when I was at GridCon, I was talking about how like too many people think AI is just going to do the job and it's just going to get it down and it's going to be perfect. And Justin's going to go get an AI agent and it's going to know everything about him and it's going to know how to do everything, right? These are generalized models, right? Claude, Anthropic that uses Claude, OpenAI that uses ChatGPT, all these tools, they're generalized AI models. They have no idea how to be a transaction manager. They have no idea how to be a financial analyst. They have no clue. They can do generalized tasks based off the information you give them, right? And so you have to provide the information, you have to coach and train. So when you think about your CRM, right, on the mortgage side, Cherie or Lauren on the marketing side, or Jess on the investor side, or Justin on the real estate side, your contacts in the database of contacts that you're using to communicate on a daily basis, if you turn AI onto that thing, the first thing you need to do is make sure that shit is organized and clean because AI will make it 10 times worse if you don't.
I can see that. I can
Yeah.
see that. Jess? Jess had a question.
Hey, my question is actually on the previous slide about intent. What are your indicators for intent? Like, how do you determine that? Do you follow a certain, because like the crux of this is like you're getting to intent faster and therefore converting that into more meaningful conversations. But what is the philosophy or the framework that you follow to determine or get signals for intent?
Yeah. What are your leads like? What do you remind me, Jess, what you do?
We do short-term and midterm rentals.
Okay, so like right now, how do you generate leads right now?
It's mostly on Airbnb, and
Okay.
then Zillow is some, Verbo.
Okay.
We've
All
got
right. Perfect.
like, all these different channels.
So, like to me, in that industry, for example, and again, it's
Mhm.
very similar to real estate. The intent triggers that we're paying attention to are like number one, for example, in your world, it'd be somebody who's surfing one of those platforms, right? To us, it's like making sure that they're viewing. So our algorithm looks for at least 10 views of a property within 30 seconds, right? Is somebody clicking and going to new properties? Are they moving fast? Are they moving slow? How long are they spending on the site looking at homes? Same thing for like a Verbo or a Zillow or some of these other platforms you're looking at. How long are they engaging, right? The longer they engage, the higher intent we believe they have, and we might trigger a call or a text message, right? That could be one, right? Or another one could be how you're creating a funnel of intent. Back to my point about like a PPC squeeze page, right? Remember I was talking about that? A different example would be like you're going to run a Facebook ad and you're going to say, hey, do you want the open house list for this weekend? Right. Or Jess,
Mhm.
in your world, right? Do you want to talk about a short-term rental in this area, like a cool vacation rental? I don't know, right? Something like that could be fun. But those types of things, like your intent, you have to decide what the intent is. What is the best lead for you? Like, give me an example of a short-term rental, best possible lead you can get.
Let me give you a midterm rental because I
That's
think
fine. Yeah.
that is where I can discern leads better. So probably an insurance housing lead, like if an insurance agent or a family reaches out and is like, hey, my home was affected by a certain event and we're looking for a minimum of 3 months to start with a potential to extend.
Got it. Okay. And what is the intent trigger from that person that would tell you they're serious and that you're like that they're a lead that you want to follow up with right now, like the hot lead?
Just any kind of indication that their house is messed up because that likely means that they're looking for something now.
Got it. But like, would they come through an insurance platform partner that you have? Would they come through a Facebook ad? Like, where are they coming from? What is that in?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's equal across, well, not equal, but there's not one clear platform. I think they've come across Zillow as well as Airbnb, as well as just email through people that know of us.
Yeah. So the intent, right, that you're describing to me is somebody reaching out to you directly.
Sure. Does directly mean like I see it, or does that mean like my
No,
email or my
directly
phone?
would mean what I'm trying to get at here is that you're asking me what the intent triggers are, right?
Yeah.
The intent triggers are based off the funnel that you're creating. You're getting these leads from portals, you're getting these leads from insurance companies, you're getting these leads reaching out directly from you from a referral or somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So the intent triggers that we're looking for are leads that have motivation. And in your industry specifically, motivation is probably being driven from, in your case, an insurance claim or their house got messed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the intent triggers that you're going to look for. In the real estate industry, the intent triggers are a little bit less motivating, right? It's somebody who's requesting a cash offer or home value, and then you have to keep that promise by providing it, right? Somebody who's surfing a website and looking at properties. The intent triggers you're looking for, you have to define in your head, Jess, what is the perfect lead and how do I create the funnel for them to show me their intent? That's why I'm asking,
Okay.
like, if the best lead for you, Jess, is a lead that has their home that got messed up, first thing I would go do is I'd go run a Facebook ad asking people that question. Why do you think attorneys put billboards all over everywhere saying, hey, have you been in an accident before? They're
Mm-hmm.
trying to trigger the intent that they want from you.
Okay.
So that's what the exercise I'm trying to take you through here is like, you shouldn't let the lead tell you their intent. You need to force the lead into the intent, right? You want the lead that has a messed up home and needs a midterm rental, right? So run an ad for that and give them the exact cue that you want and drive them to fit the category of the perfect lead and then deliver on the intent.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Force the intent, and then the intent can look, or the intent trigger is different based on whatever it is you are looking for personally. And then your measure could be engagement, time, specific words. It's like specific to the intent that you're looking for as well.
Yeah, if you were gonna hire, let me just give you the game. This is how I would do it if I were you. If I was sitting in your seat right now and I
Yeah.
ran your business, right? I would go to Facebook and I would use their AI tool, their AI targeting platform. It's insane. It's an amazingly super high performing tool, right? And I would put in your targets to be somebody who had some type of insurance claim or somebody that potentially had an event occur, right, with their home or something along those lines. And then I'd put together an ad that asked that question very directly, right? Are you looking for a midterm rental due to home displacement or whatever you would call it, right? And then I'd make sure that it targets those people that fit that category at a super high level. And then the intent you're looking for is a form fill in that case, right? You want them to fill out their information and request some level of resource. Is it a list of potential long-term rentals in that area? Is it connecting to a professional that can help them find a list of the long-term rentals in a specific area? You have to tell me that. I don't know if there's like a platform that has those, listed somewhere, right? Or if it's better for you to say, hey, connect with a professional and get a list. But my point here is that your job is to create a funnel where the intent you're looking for will show itself.
Okay.
The way you asked me the question initially was, let me respond to the intent. If you're responding to intent, your lead doesn't know. You have to lead your lead. Like you have to guide them to the intent you want from them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. You're the aggressor in this situation.
So Jess, let's talk about this after too, but what you're really also asking is a brand question. People these are inbound inquiries, and this is where brand and trust and conversion and assets that answer their questions, social media content, like it's different of like, how do I convert at a higher level? We're going to build you out a funnel. Right now, the funnel is you're low in the funnel, you're coming through those other platforms. So it's a whole, and some of this is why we do these one-on-one classes, is because like sales, lead gen, there's just a rhythm to these things. And the more deeply I understand them, the more finally I can apply these tools.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
difference between a lead and a prospect and do I have those defined for us? All that good stuff. Love it. Great question.
Yeah, it was a really good question. Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it, guys.
Anybody else?
So let's talk about, we had a conversation, we had breakfast in Miami, and we talked about Remy, and we talked about some interesting things. I just reshared it. I don't know if you saw it this morning because Kaleo posted it about what you found. So this is why we're talking to Riley, is like, Riley's having $300,000 to $400,000 AI conversations. And we had this conversation about what happened when you changed Remy to say, hey, I'm an AI versus I'm a computer assistant or something kind of vague. Like you call the bank and you get, hey, I'm Justin and I'm a virtual assistant, whatever. Like what happened when you started explicitly saying this is AI?
Yeah, when we first started, the TCPA regulations didn't require us to disclose that it was an AI, and we were having 60 to 75-second long conversations that didn't really have a lot of, meat on the bone, so to speak. And then when we changed to disclosing it was an AI up front, the conversations went up almost 100%. So we started having 90-second to 2-minute long conversations, right? And it was because I think people started. Now, I won't say that people were pumped to talk to an AI. Like we didn't have people on the phone going, "Oh my God, this is what I've been hoping for. I can't wait to continue talking to you," right? But what we did have is people that went, "Oh, you're an AI. Can you answer this question for me?" And then she'd answer it. And then they'd be like, "Oh my God, wait, hold on a minute. Can you tell me about this house?" Okay, yeah, she can. Okay, now we're gonna have this whole conversation. Can you tell me what my home is worth? Yeah. Are you living at 124 Banana Street? Yeah, okay. Right. So she has all this knowledge. AI is a very intense knowledge source, and we just pull in all that data. And what we really were hoping for, that we ended up proving our thesis correct, was the consumer would be more willing to disclose intent and have a higher quality conversation with a non-biased entity that had answers instantly for them. Right. And that's what AI was the first time it launched, was people were like, oh my God, I can get a real answer that's relevant instantly from somebody.
And our friend Keith Hinton said something I've been thinking about the whole time. When you reach out to a lead and an agent calls you in 2 minutes, like when you fill out a form, an agent calls you, that's creepy. But when an AI reaches out to me a minute later, it's expected. And I thought that was like the world we're living in. It's a resource. I can ignore it. There's no one on the other side of this thing. If I don't respond, I'm not feeling anything. And I think that's pretty powerful. So who has questions? We can talk, I think bring Riley back some other time. We can go deeper on what we're using Speculo for is two things. We're using it for converting leads at a higher level so we can have higher intent conversations. And then you also have been using it for sphere engagement. getting people to kind of raise their hand, those intent triggers. I was making calls today for a client event, and I remembered one of my clients told me, I put him in an amazing neighborhood right across the street from the country club. There's not enough kids under 10 in there for his boys. So they're thinking about moving again, right? So what are those intent triggers? Maybe they're on, these sites, maybe they're on these other platforms. Anyone have any questions about how use cases, how to use AI? I know Eric said he was curious about building an AI agent at the beginning. We've got a few minutes if you want to have that conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love to dive into that. That's if you have a few minutes for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up mine.
So Eric, when you think you're switching over, you got us muted. One thing I think that is very helpful to think about in this context, this isn't anything new. I had a transaction coordination business in 2010 where we had a totally automated backend. The guy that trained me was doing 100 transactions a month, right? And it was with SureClose, which is Stewart Title, like a permission document, like automated system. If I don't fill out this form in this slot, it's going to send auto triggers. But if I upload the title commitment, it automatically sends to the appropriate roles and responses. So this is like an iteration of a lot of things, of that deep work Riley was talking about, of like, where do I fit in the funnel? What do my admin do that it can do uniquely? What role does a TC fill? Right. I think that's been really interesting for us to think about this is like, oh, we've been thinking about kind of scaling and automating real estate for decades. So it's very kind of easy to apply some specific use cases. Tell us a little about your business, some background, some context.
Sure. The Cliffs Notes version is I actually spent 2 decades in entertainment. I produced game show and competition reality.
Sure.
And once I had kids, I'm like, I need to figure out something that's going to allow me to be more present. So I started exploring real estate and was out of state investing. I live in Los Angeles. I was investing in Indianapolis. I bought a multifamily. And then in 2024, I decided to take on a fix and flip remotely, and that was a beast. And
Yep.
I tried to sell it. I couldn't. I own that property still to this day. It's currently an Airbnb. So my current portfolio is a out of state long-term rental, out of state
Mhm.
short-term rental. I have a midterm rental here in Los Angeles. And
Okay.
my current business, I'm looking to build a wholesale operation.
Okay.
And the reason this is so intriguing to me is because I'm doing a lot of administrative work when my superpower, my value is connecting with people on a human level, figuring out what their pain points are and working towards solutions to solve them. What I find myself doing is going on Zillow or Redfin. I'm using Property Radar now. I don't have MLS access, but in order to try to find distressed leads and NODs and people who have expired listings, I'm using Property Radar. But the actual administrative work of like taking the data and then putting it into high level and then moving it through the pipeline, and I'm tracking all my activities for my accounting purposes. All this sort of administrative work is just bogging me down. If I could focus more time on calling people and getting ultimately inbound leads, which Riley spoke about the Facebook ads, I'm going to look into that. I need more. I need more time on phones with people who are actually looking for solutions. I have that intent. So that's kind of where I am at
I'm going
currently.
to give you some general stuff, and Riley can get specific. Generally, go back and there's a couple episodes on Tactical Tuesday you should watch. You should connect with Nick Despotidis that runs the Grid LA Investor Club.
I know Nick well.
Nick, Nick is a great resource there. And then on the wholesale acquisition, we can go deeper on that sometime if you want to. We have an acquisition business. We do workshops. We show people exactly how we scale our acquisition business. But yeah, what you're saying makes a ton of sense. So, hey, I want to build a wholesale business, and I've got this entire funnel, admin, lead. I've got Riley. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I pulled this up. I wanted to make sure I had it all set up for you guys. So I would say my favorite that I use is Claude at the moment. Um, so I pulled this up for you guys. So I use Claude at a super high level.
Can you zoom in a little?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You guys hear
Cool.
that? See that okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So I use Claude at a super high level, at least on my side. Now I don't do all the crazy, crazy stuff. Like my CTO has like coding agents with Claude and co-work where he's like developing things at a super high level, right? I use it for basic things. But I would say just to keep things like super simple for you guys, how many people here already have a Claude account? You guys already have one? Okay, cool. if you're not already doing this, this is something that I think is super important. You create some projects, because the goal of the projects is it takes you out of the basic, right? Like LLM generalized responses and just a general chat inside of Claude. And it puts you into a specific project that's built for a specific thing with a specific set of data. Does anybody here have a Claude project set up that they built? No? Okay, Jesse, you have. Okay, Sheree, I see you shaking your head. Eric, have you? Anybody else?
I've not in Claude, and this is the problem. I've built out so many projects in chat. I kind of don't want to start over with Claude. So if there's a
Yeah,
way to transfer all my projects from chat into Claude, that would be amazing because there's
I don't
so
think you need
much
to. I
data
think you just
there.
stay. I think you just stay in chat. This is just my personal
Okay.
favorite. This is where I started building from. But if you want to stay inside of chat, you can. There's no issue there. But this is like I almost don't want to go much further. I think it's important to really hone in on this alone as step one, because if I keep giving you all this other stuff, we also don't have a lot of time. But like I would start with this. And when you think about this, I have multiple different projects, but if I just use like integration for dummies, right? This is to help my sales team understand our integrations better with a lot of outside tools because we have a lot of two-way API integrations with a lot of different CRMs. And my sales team they're not going to remember every single layer of our two-way API with follow-up boss, or Brivity or Sync or anything. And so what we did was we made a very, very, very simple project, invited our team members to it, integrated our Slack, our Jira that knows everything about our product, our code base for the product, for our API documentation. And then we integrated some simple PDFs that basically structure out all of our different integrations across our product, our different CRMs. And then you can ask any question that you want. Right. Hey, how does the FUB integration work at a high level? You could get that. Or you could get like this one on May 27th. Hey, the speculative transfer tag failed inside of FUB. Why would that happen? You see what I'm saying? So you can get really granular based off a set of information, not a generalized response. So this is a good project for my sales team for integrations. I've got my own personal, I call it just the CEO assistant. Nobody has access to that. I put all my data in there. I put employment contracts in there. I put client contracts in there. I ideate, ask questions, all that stuff. It's like my little assistant with all the data needed for me to know what I need to know and to get assistance from this AI. I've got this for our call center. I got this for legal assistant. Like I've got all these little projects that are niche down for specific parts of our business. If you go into a general chat and just ask a basic question like you would ask from the legal assistant here, you're going to get a general answer versus if you ask the legal assistant here that has a set of data and it'll get a little bit more granular, right? If you already have that in ChatGPT, just stay there. It's not like it's any astronomically better, right? But this is step one that I have personally found, and I've been trained by our CTO, right? He knows way more about this stuff than I do. This is step one, right? Don't just get an account and ask questions. Get an account and create projects where you can ask very niche specific questions and start training in these little specific projects how you want each of them to function. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and that's a really good point because even within chat, when I'm working within a project, I've before accidentally been in another project and asked a question. And it gave me a very strange response. And then I realized I was actually in the wrong project. So even within the AI, it's interesting how it processes the data based on what you've built built it up with.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this, think about, you know, admin. Like we in real estate tend to be, to Ryan's point, a jack of all trades. But if I had my thing, would I have the same person that's answering my front desk calls be the same person that was doing my high level social media marketing strategy? Or is like my database integration like we throw these assistants at them, they're very different roles. So just a simple way to think about it, Eric, would be if I could hire a team of specialists, how many specialists at a minimum would I need? And that will kind of match with your projects. And you can scale that up or scale that down. Oh man, actually I really need like a director of sales, not a dispo manager. That's the same position, just I wasn't thinking about scale at first, right? But if we're gonna go, we're gonna go. That is, I need someone that's thinking like a director of sales, doing this functionary entry level task. So
Yep. Yep. And that goes back to the point about training, right? Like you can go hire a director of sales and you can spend 6 months training them and your output is going to be very linear. But you could hire a director of sales through a Claude project and you could spend a month training it and your outcome is going to be a massive blast radius of impact versus if you do 6 months of training with one human. But you got to train, right? You can't just like expect That makes sense.
And you got to put the notes into the system of what was the outcome of the call and give some nuance. And they were a little defensive, and I think they're motivated by emotion more than circumstance.
Yeah.
Like it's limited by, again, when we talk about being more human, it is how can I show up more fully, max out my emotional intelligence, create more trust. I love this. Riley, there was a couple. Thank you everyone for joining this. Jess had a couple specific questions about Speculo. I don't, if you got a few minutes, I'd love to talk about Speculo because what it does is pretty unique. You
Yeah.
know, so Riley, just for context, like eXp Realty has 90,000 agents. Riley sponsored the conference. He's one of those our keynotes there up at EXP. Got connections with Keller Williams. Works with some of the biggest brokerages. We always want to go at Grid. We're going to people that are subject matter experts because if this thing works on thousands, it'll work individually. Some of these principles are the same principles. And I appreciate Riley being willing to come on here and just, hey, let me just translate it to you as an individual agent so you can go do this in your business. But if I wanted to integrate Speculo, just plug in with my CRM, like without getting too deep into there, how does it kind of walk me through what it looks like to have like an AI assistant?
Yeah. Our tool functions as an ISA assistant. So when I keep talking about the specialty role, it's an ISA assistant. We do not believe that AI will ever take the role of an ISA. That's not the objective of the product. It's to help the ISA be more effective, right? And it's a three-step process, very simple. Number one, it integrates and ingests. So we want to learn everything about your contacts as much as possible, as fast as possible, and then also create a funnel of information. So as that ingestion occurs, the new interactions, the new information, the new notes, everything funnels into that brain. Every single contact gets their own story. That's step two, right? After we create the integration and create the funnel of knowledge and info and data. Step two is Remy actually builds a story. She builds a narrative on every single contact, right? So if I ingest a 10,000 contact database, I mean, we recently onboarded a client that has 450,000 contacts in their database, and we ingested every single one of them and created a narrative and a story on every single one of them, right? We start to understand everything about Justin. Who is he? What's the most recent note? What's his most recent activity on the IDX? What does this mean? Who is Justin to us, right? And then from there, step three, which is the final step, is Remy will build an outbound communication strategy via email, text, and phone call, depending upon opt-in status and all that good stuff, right? If you're not opted in, she won't call you, obviously. But she'll build an outreach strategy with what she believes is the most valuable information to share based off the story about you. And the whole objective of that outreach is to get a response, to get an engagement. The moment she gets that engagement, she starts having a dialogue with you. And when that dialogue ends, she creates a new strategy based off everything that she learned in that conversation through email, phone call, and text in perpetuity until she gets that person to a place in which they want to connect with you as the professional, in this case, the real estate agent, at that stage in the funnel where you're most valuable, which to us is going to see a home and like going to actually see a home in the physical world, right? Or sit down for a listing appointment to learn about potentially selling your home. Remy manages everything from inception of intent to that, passes it off to you. And if that person wastes your time or ghosts you or isn't ready, you just click one button, pass it back to Remy. She rebuilds the story, recreates a strategy, and goes from there.
I thank you. And what I'm thinking about, just wrap this all up kind of in a big picture. Thank you. You summarized it so well. Is I'm most valuable at the human stage consulting and showing property. My other piece, the real bleeding edge, is I'm most valuable in creating the story of what's the transformation I'm going to take my journey on. So I'll wrap this all up. Grid is the hero's journey. The entrepreneurial journey is the hero's journey. You're going on an identity journey. You're going on a transformation journey. Your clients are going on a transformative journey almost always. Very occasionally, it's some sort of like minor thing, but often there's a new career. They're a new parent, right? They are getting married. They're becoming a homeowner for the first time. It very much is an identity journey. And I'd encourage you to go check out Don Miller and Story Brand. He's built an entire, framework, concept, coaching around this of the idea of like the guide. You are the guide in this. You are not the hero of the story. Riley is the hero. He's going on the journey. I am there as a guide. And the way I would think about AA, if we're talking about this hero's journey, AA is like the companion or the super sword or something like that, is the thing that will go with them on this guide. But I'm here to like have a unique role of like, I am the guidepost. I can help them think about these emotional decisions. And I know that might seem esoteric, but I promise you, it's really not. When you free yourself to think about that so deeply, you're going to have deeper conversations with people about what's actually going on with them. It's been our experience. This is not new concepts, neurolinguistic programming, but yeah, how can I be the guide and take them on this transformational journey? And then the more clearly I can do that, right, Riley, then my AI can say, oh, great, Eric, you've got two tracks, one for somebody that's motivated emotionally. This house has to get out of them. They're overwhelmed. It reminds them of the bad divorce. And the other is circumstance. They want a solution. If I could map that out and kind of mind map that, and here's the way I approach, and here's the conversations I have, and then it could really, does that make sense how it would logically kind of set that up of like, oh, solution, solution, solution. Eric's a solution. Oh my God, you want this out of your life? We understand. We're going to solve this ease, convenience, right? Comfort. But
I
that
love that.
AI is not going to do that, is going to be limited by my ability to articulate those things.
Yep.
Any final words for us, Riley?
No, I think that's it. I mean, we had a great hour-long conversation here, and I hope that everybody's takeaway, if I was going to kind of summarize it all, is just figure out where you're most valuable in the funnel and where you can produce the most engagement as an authentic person, and build a funnel that leads the people you want to talk to that place, right?
Yeah.
AI gives you the resources and the ability to do that, and don't get overwhelmed by AI. Answer your question first, where you're valuable, and then fill out the rest with AI. Don't start with AI. You're going to get overwhelmed, and it's annoying and it's frustrating.
Yeah, and a tool like Speculo, something we're looking at because we've already kind of built out the how do I get the phone to ring and how do I get the funnel and but man, now I have a conversion problem.
Yep.
Using tools when appropriate is another part of this of like when do I actually need the tools? I love it. So next week we've got Trad Bastian. He's going to be talking to us more on the agent side on how to build referrals at a high level, at a national level. Trad is a residential commercial agent in Charleston, great friend of mine, and one of the most, go check out his social media, Trad Bastian. Very entertaining, and there's a purpose behind that. Riley, appreciate you. Thank you so much, brother.